Okay, well, look, guys, thanks for joining us. This is a new format for us. It's a shorter format. We're going to try to keep everything 10 minutes or less, and you're going to see probably four different editions through the week. This one is our hot topic edition. And Darren, what's a hot topic edition? I call it 5% down for units, but I know we're going to expand on that. So explain what we discovered. I guess we learned this through Scott Groves, a lender of ours, 20-year lender, and he sent this out as an alert to his real estate agents because he was excited about it. So we want to bring that excitement to you. Darren?
Right. And he'll explain all the details, but yeah, a new conventional loan option for purchasing
Mm-hmm.
multi-units. And I know we're a little excited about this too because we sell a decent amount of small multi-unit properties. This isn't for big investors. This is 4 units or less. And
Mm-hmm.
we just feel it's such a great opportunity to get into the market, even if you buy a duplex, to get started in owning something. So that's why we're excited about it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess why don't we just lay out the scenario? So for first time buyers, and this is for specifically owner occupants, the choice was FHA. And FHA would give you this very attractive low down of 3.5%, right? They would let you loan 96.5%. But there were some challenges there. What were some of the challenges there?
Sure. Well, there were two components related to FHA. Number one, the insurance, the required insurance for anything less than 20% down
Mm,
was high. The rates were high, and that came out of the crash of 15 years ago. FHA
right,
wanted to be protected, so that was number
right.
one. If you had to do an FHA loan, and then number two, they had a big upfront cost as well that was required. Could be financed, but it was a huge, like 1.5, 1.75% cost on the front end, the equivalent to points. I'd be
Uh-huh.
curious to see how that's related to this new conventional product where that item didn't exist.
Right, right. Well, and I think the other thing too was I looked it up. There's a self-sufficiency test, right, in which the total payment between the loan itself and other costs, insurance, and all, had to be covered by the rent that exists at
Right.
that point. And the vacancy rate was like 25%, which is pretty high. That's not usual, right? That made it
Well,
hard for people.
right, meaning that they factored in 25% vacancy, which means they only took 75% of the
Yeah,
rental income, assuming that's all you'd get each year as a qualifying component. So yes, easier to qualify because lower monthly cost in mortgage insurance if you're doing as little as 5% down,
hmm,
and easier qualifying just because of how they evaluate the numbers.
got it. And so now, what's the alternative? What's the new opportunity for maybe first-time home buyers that maybe should consider now multi-units?
Well, uh, first off, it's an alternative to purchasing a single family home. The cost of single family homes, maybe that's just not an option for so many people.
Hmm.
So it allows you to get in at a lower price, easier to qualify, and having income. I think the gap, and we can discuss that
Mm.
later, is how to be a good property owner and landlord if it's
Yeah,
something, and that's the gap for many people.
yeah, yeah. So 5% down. I think the mortgage insurance is better or more affordable,
Mhm.
and you can include not that 75%. You can go higher, right, to qualify based on the
Whatever
rent.
ratio is under the guidelines of the conventional for reselling, it'll be a standard
Right,
formula with slight
right.
variations, maybe.
And the big news here is, Scott, thank you for bringing this to everyone's attention, but he said it. This is across the board, right? Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae. This is a new rule, a new program, 5% down. So very exciting. Very, very exciting.
And it will help people get into houses.
Yeah. 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 Now, in terms of the market now and what we're seeing, I know we gauge it every week, but it's a tough single family residential home market. What do you think about the multi-family, the income units market? How's that going now?
Hmm. As exciting as all that other stuff we just said is, that is the
Mm.
most exciting part, Joe, that gets me excited for the
Mm.
potential for buyers, the biggest thing buyers hate is the competition, right? And the
Sure.
fact that prices are driven up.
Right.
They can accept what's out there often, but the multifamily unit environment has
Mm.
been kind of stagnant and flat and even down for more than a
Yeah.
year. That it's been
Yeah.
a segment where inventory has been growing and it is more of a buyer's market. Are you ready? I'm going to say that the multifamily unit is a buyer's market.
Yeah. 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 Not as attractive to investors now, but I think far more for people that can make this leap. And like you said, we do try, if it's there, for our buyers to consider multi units. Now, wow, even better,
Yeah.
much
Yeah.
better. Now, what's the short story? I know we're going to try to do some sort of webinar or something more on this, but you talked about, and it's a nervous moment, but to be a landlord or not to be a landlord, especially a live-in landlord, just what are some of the highlights of that and what things they should consider?
There is a little more of a business minded perception, and I think that's where a lot of our clients may
Sure.
struggle with it. But
Right.
all the advice you get out there on being a landlord often just talks about pick someone with the highest FICO and the most income,
Yeah. Yeah.
all these kind of like
Yeah.
detached, unemotional elements of being a landlord. And I think it's simpler than that personally. And I've had success with my formula and a single
Right.
approach of uh, don't rent to people who are entitled. If the world owes them something, as much as ever as a landlord,
Yeah.
you owe them something. You are
Yeah.
the bad guy. And if you
Yep.
get somebody with that perception of the world, you're going to have a hard time being a landlord. And there are things you can do, questions you can ask, and how you set the tone from the beginning when you acquire a tenant is so important. It can be a mutually beneficial
Yeah.
relationship. It really can. It doesn't have to
Yep.
be strained if you
Yep.
do some things right from the start.
Yeah. Well, as you're saying, right? You make a good start, it usually ends out pretty well as also. But yeah, you're reminding me of, we have a client, Will, who, awesome client, trusts in us, and we just brought on to Zoom a potential tenant, and they had a very good tenant relationship in the past with their landlord who lived on the property with them. But the other thing I'm thinking here is, other times it's good to have that third party, let's say the bad guy, right? Because
Yeah.
Will in those meetings in Zoom was like, those guys, those guys. It's like, okay, yeah, keep
Yeah.
your nice relationship. But yeah, you do need to have that business part of it set. And we definitely know the right questions to ask to help you find the right people.
You're correct, Joe. And it's if we always talk about the relevance of a good real estate agent in a transaction, it's even more, and I mean substantially more relevant to have a quality agent who understands
Yeah.
being a landlord. If you're going to purchase a building, and we still act as this, we're certainly available all the time. You should have a realtor who says they're going to be available and understands being a landlord.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the other thing too, right? I was thinking, gosh, um, to choose the right multi-income is also an important thing. And we'll certainly go through those landmines with you and ask the right questions when you are looking at a purchase for multifamily income units.
Yep.
What else? You think that's it? We're at like 8:59. We're hitting our mark here, man. What do you think?
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I mean, look, the biggest struggle in multi units today
Yeah.
in finding a
Yeah.
place is
Yeah.
getting one vacant unit that you can just move into. Okay.
Right.
You can vacate to owner occupy if you purchase a building. You may have to purchase it with the existing tenants in and go through the formal process of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
It is even better because it's often about a personality match and choosing someone if you can get a building with all vacant units. It's just
Yeah.
hard to do.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so those are kind of some of the early components. Also nicer in our side of town. There's in a lot of older houses. There's a lot of
Uh-oh. Keep going.
really terrible.
Yeah.
So that's it. I mean, those are the nuts and
Okay.
bolts. Happy to have a further conversation if someone's interested.
Yeah. Well, cool. And the other thing too is, look, I know everyone wants their own home. But if you can take this moment and make it an advantage, you can get your single family home later, right? Don't give up on that.
Yeah, often people that are looking to buy are coming from multi units. So it's a real step up to be the owner of the multi units,
Yeah,
but not
yeah,
like, but so it's a step up. And maybe not all the way to the step you want to get, but sometimes these days you have to take smaller steps.
yeah, yeah. All right. Well, look, guys, thanks for joining us again. The new format, and we'll see you very soon with the next edition of LA Real Estate Reality. Take care. Bye
All
now.
right.